are live. So, Godzilla vs. Kong. We, just so you guys know, we started doing this thing where we watch it in the theater. We record it on the phone on the way home. So we literally just watched this movie 5 minutes ago. So I don't know about you, but I was actually pleasantly surprised. I actually liked it.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, it was enjoyable. It's what you go to a movie for.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
not much to say on it. See, that's what I was kind of finding was when I was watching the movie, I watch it just to watch it, but sometimes I think like what I would bring up, and there's not a crazy amount to say. The one thing that I will say, like first impressions wise, and I think you brought this up with Wonder Woman. So for me, I grew up watching like the old Godzilla movies. I'm definitely not old enough, but there was a time when Netflix had like all of them, like Godzilla Final Wars, Godzilla versus Mothra versus Mechagodzilla, what's it called, Shin Godzilla, all the really good ones. This one kind of played like one of those, kind of just a dumb, weird plot that kind of ties it together. That's just kind of goofy, and the monster fights in between. And I kind of enjoyed it, and I had like kind of low hopes coming in. I tried to give the benefit of the doubt because the first Godzilla movie was atrocious. The second Godzilla movie was better, but it was still pretty bad. And then I'm watching this one. I'm like, they did a better job with this one than with the second one. I could see myself probably watching it again at some point or another. And I think at that I'm spoiler free. So anything past this for me is going to be filled with spoilers.
It's a good. I thought it was a great intro to summer blockbusters, getting big movies, big theater movies back in the theater. I think it was a good way to start the summer blockbuster experience. You know what I mean?
I think it's a good kickstart.
Yeah. I wasn't super impressed. I can critique the heck out of it, but like I said, if you want to just go in and be entertained for a couple hours, I would say go see it. My expectations of the whole franchise are kind of low. So, with that being said, if you don't go in expecting a whole heck of a lot, you won't be disappointed.
Yeah, I think this is 100% like a really enjoyable movie. I think you can just have fun watching it. If you can get through like the beginning part where they're trying to slap it all together. I mean, they kind of did what they did with the second movie, where it's like they open it up with some kind of action or fight sequence, and then they start doing a lot of movies are doing it now just to give you a little bit of action right up front, and then they go through the plot, they do this, they do that, and then they start getting into the fights, and it starts becoming enjoyable. But you really got to buy into it. You can't really think about it too hard. It's a really good movie to just it's kind of hard to put into words, but it's a good, hey, you want to go see a movie? Sure. It's very casual. It's a good casual watch.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity to go spend 2 hours and let your mind go numb without thinking, without worrying about what's going on in the rest of the world. Just go and enjoy two monsters smashing each other up
completely. For me, we just barely got it in under the wire for the showing time of this movie. So I jumped in ahead of Dad to just because it was right at the end of the opening credits, and I filled him in. So right from the opening scene, like I said before, I was worried. I was really worried that it was going to be bad. I was worried they were going to go the wrong direction. I didn't know what they were going to do. And it starts off with this guy. What?
They didn't either.
And it starts off with like this guy who's recording a podcast. Kind of sounds familiar. and he's like, it sounds very investigative journalisty. He's talking about like conspiracies of it, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, no, do not make this like another Lois Lane from Man of Steel. So I was really worried it was going to become another one of those, I'm a Pulitzer Prize winning reporter, and he's like always shoving microphones in people's faces to get the truth. But I was actually pleasantly surprised by the guy's character. I don't remember his name, saved my own life, and I don't really care about his backstory that they threw in there because, I don't know, I think there was like one shareholder who was there or like one producer that was there on the set one day, and they're like, you need to give him a backstory of like a dead wife or something like that, and they threw it in there in a 5-second scene, and that was it.
Yeah, forced heart for a character who is just charming enough in his own goofy conspiracy theory way that you like him anyway, so you don't need to force feed us a backstory. It doesn't really matter.
What I think it was, I think they were trying to like keep him from looking like a cave troll who just like a basement dweller.
Yeah.
So they bring in the fact that he used to have a wife.
Since the other little buddy was the cave dweller.
Oh yeah. So
live in Mom's basement.
For me, since we're supposed to talk about positives now anyway, I'm branching out of first impressions. I liked the guy's character. He was funny, and he did it for me. I thought it was funny, and the kid from Deadpool 2, that kid's so talented. He's funny.
He's a funny dude.
Yeah, he's funny. Funny as always.
Yeah.
And they had Eleven from Stranger Things. Well, she's in the last movie.
She's in the last Godzilla movie.
Yeah, she's in the last Godzilla movie.
The other ones are from the last King Kong movie.
Yeah, I didn't watch Kong. I don't care.
Well,
I really don't.
You don't need to have seen any of them.
Yeah,
to watch this.
So they throw little nuggets in there for people who have seen either one. And yeah, I haven't seen Kong Skull Island, but I've seen like bits and pieces of it. They throw enough in there to keep those people like satisfied. Like, you'll be rewarded for watching the other ones, but you don't need to have seen either one. And I really think that they know that at this point. When it comes to like Pacific Rim or Godzilla or Kong, like both like all owned by Legendary, I think they know like, hey, this is for the casual viewer. Let's just make a fun little monster movie, and they don't make it so you have to follow it so heavily.
So. You don't go to Conan the Barbarian for the dialogue or the intellect. So that's kind of my take on it. Like I said, it's if you want to just go have a good time, not think, you don't have to have seen any of the other 4 movies?
What do you mean, Godzilla or Kong? There's 2 Godzilla movies.
2 Godzillas and 2 Kong movies.
Is there 2 Kong movies?
There's the King Kong with what's his face? Jack Black.
Does that one count?
I think.
I don't think so.
And then there's Kong Skull Island.
They're not by the same studio though.
Why do they all? I mean, King Kong all looks the same, but I thought it was the same.
No, yeah. They're not this. That was years.
I thought it was the same storyline.
Why would they make another Kong movie if they had that one?
The sequel.
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't
remember.
Where they don't bring any of the characters from the actual King Kong movie?
They brought King Kong.
Really?
Everybody died the first time. They brought... Oh, well, yeah, I guess the last time he died, right? Off of the Empire State Building? The Jack Black one, did he?
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
I think that was like a remake of the original King Kong.
Oh, gee. I think it's safe to say that the Kong Skull Island is its own... its own thing.
This is definitely a sequel of Kong Skull Island. I guess it's not a sequel.
Oh, by the way,
I
feel like I need to say this right now because I think if people do watch this, they want to watch it to see if Godzilla or Kong won. If you're a Kong fan, if you were Team Kong in this movie, you're going to be severely disappointed.
And guess what? If you're a Godzilla fan, you're going to be disappointed.
I was going to say, yeah. So even like I was Team Godzilla all the way. I didn't think that Kong stood a chance. I didn't want him to either. But like, if you wanted Kong to win, oh my gosh, you're going to be so disappointed. Kong landed like 5 hits and then just got decimated. He got absolutely mauled in their first fight. Then he got Like, seriously.
Spoilers, jeez.
Yeah. It's.
Well, I guess we're past this. Hey, yeah, no.
Oh, I've only
if you're
given
watching this-
3 spoiler warnings. Thanks for following what I'm saying about as much as you followed the movie.
Yeah, well, my interest level's about the same.
Wow. This is just going to be movies with my and then nothing else. That's how this is going to continue. Probably should have went to an earlier showing. Yeah, if you
let's go ahead.
I was going to say, if you couldn't tell, we were recording this pretty late. So, yeah, Kong just gets whooped so bad in the second fight that they have an entire scene dedicated to them defibrillating him to shock him back to life.
Don't get me started. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If we want to just jump to the nitpicking.
No, okay, save it.
Okay, then stick
Okay,
with
I'm gonna
positives
say-
or you're going to
I'm
get
sorry.
riled up.
I was trying to summarize there for a second. Okay, so positive things. One, I like the Godzilla one. I really like that because I've been a Godzilla fan since I was 6 years old,
Yeah.
and I don't know. That's always what I wanted to see, and this movie pleasantly surprised me. So like with the whole Millie Bobby Brown, kid from Deadpool, guy from I Don't Know. Those three were pretty funny together. What's funny though is Millie Bobby Brown didn't do much. Didn't have her do anything. Yeah, really.
What I liked was it was very much like watching one of the old Godzilla movies where there's a bunch of technical stuff going on. I think it might have even been one of your Mecha Godzillas that you watched back in the day where they're in this secret lair cave under a volcano and all the scientists are doing their scientific-y thing that's completely pointless to the movie. But then Godzilla comes and attacks, and that's it. They fight him off, and then they appease him, and he goes away. That's kind of the vibe of this, where the human characters didn't really change.
Oh, you know what? That's Godzilla Final Wars. That's the opening scene.
Yeah, where they're in they're in a science
they're in like
lab,
they're in like a little bunkers, and,
Yes.
and then they look up through the window, and Godzilla's looking them dead in the face.
Yeah.
Well, they don't appease him or anything. He shoots fire, but they both die.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what this felt like, was kind of in the theme, or along the same lines of those old style Godzilla movies.
Yeah.
That's what I liked about it. That was one of the positives.
Yeah, honestly, like if they had like people speaking Japanese and with a crappy English dub over it, where the mouths don't line up at all, it actually would have made me enjoy the movie a little bit better.
Yeah.
But that's just the nostalgia for me, though.
Yeah, there's a little element of not taking itself too seriously in the old ones, and I think this one didn't take itself too seriously either.
No, I wouldn't say so.
What I do like, I'll stick on the positives, is that it seems like they're starting to kind of find their stride with where they want to go with both of these different storylines.
Yeah, that's something I think I brought up earlier. I think they're getting better with each movie. I think they're doing a good job.
That exactly. Yeah, it was one of those where you can tell that someone's been so excited to match. Has there been any other King Kong versus Godzilla matchups?
No.
Ever, right?
No.
So it's one of those where they've been so excited to have these two finally meet, but they didn't know how to make the two worlds collide, and they have an equal love for both characters or both creatures. So, just like like I said about the DC universe, where you're just smacking your action figures together and that's a fight scene.
Mm-hmm.
This is a movie version of playing with these two action figures in your sandbox, where you mash them up against each other for a little bit, couple scenes, you have a fight scene, I win, you win, I win, you win, and then they hold hands and skip off into the sunset.
They even had
to return in the sequel.
They even had Alexander Skarsgård go, I guess round 2 goes to Kong,
and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like they have to spoon feed it that much, but
Yeah.
it kind of added to it to me, the kind of cheesiness of the movie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's like, this is a movie where if you buy into it and you're not looking to find any Oscar nominees here, you can really have a good time.
It did not take. Yeah. So
No,
like the whole dad part. Is there any point to him? He does nothing.
And I'm still counting that as a positive because that was what we were talking about, on like how we kind of enjoyed about it. But like there were like parts in the movie where Dad and I would just look at each other and just giggle to ourselves, and you just don't take it too seriously. It's fun to watch. Honestly, I might go see it again, maybe. But to keep going on things that I like, there were characters in there, and thankfully, like some of the jokes were kind of forced, or like the whole Tide Pods thing. When they
that was funny.
I thought it was kind of funny, but it's
again, it was filmed very much the whole the style of it. It was like a very Americanized version of an old Godzilla movie.
Yeah, with just really good cameras and CGI.
Where it's just cheesy lines, somewhat cheesy acting. It's preposterous in itself, the whole concept, and especially if you're going to the center of the world kind of, whatever.
Yeah, the whole journey to the center of the earth thing they were doing, like 20 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, I'll save some more for nitpicking. But again, didn't take itself too seriously, so you just have fun seeing exactly what you paid to go see. Everybody knocked Expendables when they started, when it first came out, the very first one.
Yeah.
They made how many? 3? Just, what do you think Fast and Furious is such a massive movie empire?
Oh my gosh.
I want to go see cars going fast and people shooting guns.
Yeah.
Expendables is all your action heroes shooting guns.
Yeah.
What were you wanting?
This definitely hits the mark for like a awesome dumb monster movie.
Yeah.
And with Mechagodzilla thrown in there, you've got tail whips, you've got fire breath, you've got King Kong grabbing an axe and doing the whole gorilla smash thing. And you have Mechagodzilla using rocket boosters on his backs and arms to make his punches stronger.
So it's like a couple nerds that were real big fans of Godzilla and King Kong had both. I think when they made the Skull Island, I think they kind of had an idea of maybe linking the two together by that point.
Yeah, because you've seen Skull
They were
Island,
on that
right?
page. Yeah.
Okay.
We went and saw the prop of it, that helicopter thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Tour.
So we actually went there. That was fun.
So I think they kind of had an idea, but they, I'll stick on the positive. Sorry.
You're the worst with that.
I know.
I have to keep pulling you back on
I think
track.
we just need to go through it, but whatever. I think it's good to keep it
I
keep
think
it compartmentalized.
I want to keep it really positive, like right off the bat.
Yeah, keep it compartmentalized into what we like and don't like. So anyway, what was I saying?
You were talking about how we actually went there. We saw, you said that
Prior to that,
they knew where they were going.
No, yeah. So they had a checklist of everything they would want to have seen in a Godzilla versus King Kong movie, like you said.
Yeah.
And they add in Mechagodzilla to give them a common enemy. I'm half surprised they didn't sign language out the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Oh, well...
Not in so many words, but that's what they did.
Well, seriously, Dad, like, right off the bat, like, as soon as the first trailer was done, I saw nothing but, like, memes of people, like, so, like, the episode of SpongeBob when they're going against each other in, like, the fry cook games, and it ends with them, like, with their arms around each other walking out?
Mm-hmm.
So somebody made that, and they're, like, Godzilla and Kong at the end of the movie after beating a third bad guy and having to team up.
Yep.
Like, the guy predicted it from the get-go. And from the first trailer, and I saw nothing but like people circulating that on the internet. They're like, everyone's like, so what do you think's gonna happen in the new Godzilla? The Godzilla and King Kong are gonna team up against Mechagodzilla. But only the second trailer, like, no, that's going to happen. That's 100% what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And as soon as it started happening in the movie, I'm just like, I knew it was coming, but oh my gosh, it came true.
Yeah. So, yeah, you kind of get invested in maybe two characters, which is fine. You don't get bogged down with minutia. You don't have to worry about whether or not a loose end's going to be tied up. What's the backstory of this one? What's the plot of this? Because it really doesn't matter.
This is like the polar opposite of watching a Christopher Nolan movie.
Yeah.
You get dumber from watching it rather than you think less after watching the movie than
if there's a cosmic balance to the movie universe, it's the opposite of Inception.
Yeah, but
which is fine.
They want to go. Yeah.
I want to go to the movies for smash 'em up monster movies.
Yeah, and with us doing what we do, and me especially, because I'm a classic overanalyzer and overthinker, and I love thinking about things critically. But every once in a while, for me too, I just want to watch a movie that I don't have to think about, and that you really can't think about because there's nothing there. Like,
well,
this is a perfect take a break movie.
What I like is that they almost opened it up to where you could bring in. You could almost squeak out tying in Pacific Rim for another sequel.
So this is I'm going to try and keep it positive because I wanted to say this, bring this up in the negative part, but the whole part where the guy tries to pilot Mechagodzilla, I'm like, okay, Pacific Rim. Like, please.
Okay,
yeah.
Hold on.
I'm almost there.
Pump the brakes.
I'm just about ready to move on. So
I'm seriously mashing on the brake right now.
Say your last positive one, because I already said my last positive one.
I think I'm just repeating myself.
Cool.
At this
Negative.
Point. No, I'm just repeating myself at this point. It's a fun no thinker movie. I like a handful of the actors that are in there. They're enjoyable to watch. The special effects, the CG. Was really, really. I mean,
yeah, it did look really good.
You didn't get pulled away from the movie because of the CG. And when you do the underworld, Hollow Earth thing they're talking about,
were doing, yeah,
there were some things that pulled me out of it, but it was not because of bad CG.
Yeah,
it was clean the entire time. I really, really enjoyed that.
I think they did a good job of putting their energy where they knew the strengths needed to be.
Technically, the technical aspects of that, it was a clean movie.
Yeah. So before we get into the negative part, which we're going to do right now, I was pleasantly surprised, and I did like this movie, even though it's stupid.
Yeah, I won't go watch it again in the theater.
I probably won't either. It's one of those movies where if it's on cable, you might throw it on. But
should we start getting into our ranking system?
What do you mean?
Or the ranking system that I had?
Well, like a 1 out of 10 scale?
No, so my ranking system that I used to tell people the best movies you're going to watch are, if you're going to go see it opening night, right?
Yeah.
It's an opening night or opening weekend. That would be your A+ movie. Gotta see it. There's plenty of hype surrounding it. Go see it so someone doesn't spoil it.
That'd be like your Infinity Wars and your...
yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're very anticipated and it lived up to the hype. That kind of movie.
Okay.
Then see it in the theater, but don't rush. Right?
Like a B-list?
That would be like...
So by B-list, I don't mean like normal people mean. I don't mean like a normal...
Just a decent movie, but it's not so stellar. Like, this, it's fun to watch in the big screen.
Yeah.
You don't need to go watch it opening night.
No.
Now, like, I'm really excited about Top Gun, right? But I have a feeling that it's not going to necessarily need to be an opening night type thing.
No, reboot sequels never do well.
Right? So, Force Awakens.
Yeah.
That was go see it opening night.
Well,
there's an energy about it.
The anticipation alone, you need to go see that.
There's an energy about it.
Yeah.
Now, Force Awakens. No, I just said Force Awakens. Wow, getting old.
Oh my gosh, you disgust me.
It's happening already.
So Wonder Woman.
What the heck's the second one? I'm trying to purge my mind
The
of
Last Jedi.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, there's a reason it doesn't resonate.
I was gonna say that's about 6 months of therapy down the drain.
Exactly. So, The Last Jedi. After having seen it, I went and saw it opening night. We rented the theater out and had all our friends there. There was an energy about it, but the movie was so garbage I wouldn't even rent it.
That's not even a movie that you just don't see. That's a movie that you actively seek out to burn. Like Fahrenheit 451, that thing. Seriously.
Well, yeah, you try to purge it from the databanks.
Completely, yeah.
Anyway, so opening night is what I've considered an A+ movie. Go see it opening night.
Well, and go see it again.
Go see it in the theater. There's two ways you can land on that list, and again, it doesn't have to be the greatest movie of all time to go see it in the theater.
Yeah,
it has to do with the fact that it's just epic in its scale, and it needs to be seen on the big screen the first time you see it. This is one of those. It's so big in scale. Go see it on the big screen. There's so much detail. They worked hard for it. Go appreciate it. Now, Fievel Goes West. You don't necessarily need to see it in the theater, right? SpongeBob the movie?
No.
It's not necessarily... Some things aren't made for the big screen. So then there's... then my scale, diminishing scale would be rent it, or sorry, buy it on DVD, rent it on DVD, wait for it to come out on TV.
I say wait for it to come out on TV. Actually, don't watch it would be the worst one. So you
just avoid it altogether. There's very few movies that I would say just flat out don't watch, except for like The Last Airbender, which I think I knocked the last time we did this when we were talking about Wonder Woman.
We should come up with a list of like movies that we say like you should never ever see.
Yeah, the Purge list. So anyway, that's kind of my scale. That has nothing to do with this movie, and we've gone on about for 10 minutes. But whatever, you at least should get where we're
I
coming
would
from.
say this is a movie that you just go watch in the theater once. And
this is a great matinee movie. If you have a day off, go catch it early. There's no reason to stay up late. There's no reason to run out and go watch it. I wouldn't change your plans to go see this movie, unless you're just going with some friends and want to get together. But if you have the time while it's still in the theater, go see it in the theater, enjoy it for what it is, and that's what this is perfect for.
All right. Okay, let's get into some negativity and nitpicking. My favorite part of the day. I love doing this. I could do a whole series just nitpicking movie.
So could I.
Oh, it's so fun.
Go ahead. You get fire away.
Oh my gosh.
Because you might not get a word in edgewise once I get started.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You look like a Jack in the Box just itching to get out.
Go ahead.
Okay, so this movie has just like we said, it's stupid. The plot is ridiculous. But the thing that really bugged me, especially right off the bat, is there were some really good actors that were wasted on this movie. Like Alexander Skarsgård, Millie Bobby Brown, the kid from Deadpool. I'm like, sure, they did a good job, but like, come on. Those are big names.
But you didn't need human characters in this movie to make the movie happen.
See, that's the biggest flaw of every single Godzilla movie. Why are there even people?
Yeah.
Forget the people. And like, I don't care about the human plot. I don't care about this guy with his whiskey bottle in a gun holster for some reason. And I do not care.
So that it comes off as a negative, and if it were any other movie, I'd say it was a negative. I would agree with you. But I think it's the fact that it falls along the lines of an old Godzilla movie where you don't really care about the plot of the human characters.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. But at least have one of them get eaten, right? I mean, King Kong. Well, they did. I guess they did.
This is a really like happy-go-lucky run off into the sunset kind of movie, because like even in the first, like in the opening scene, right when Godzilla attacks that plant, you look at the news thing. It says only 8 people died.
Yeah.
Like he blew up an entire factory, and you're telling me that only 8 people died? I'm like, you're ridiculous.
Like, that is insane.
Okay, glad I missed the opening.
And
keep going.
Yeah, so,
you go.
I know, I'm trying. In the movie, it's like there's so many things that like I know we talk about the positive one, like buy into it. But if you're wanting to look at this like critically, how about the fact? So they're on an aircraft carrier, right, with a Kong all chained up, 88% sedated. How do you sedate him?
How do you have a computer that can tell you he's 88% sedated?
I don't know. What's 100%?
Dead? I don't know. I mean, are they?
Here's my other.
Are they measuring his brainwave outputs through the chains that are hooked up to him? Because that's the only thing that would give you a readout. The only thing connected to his body were the anchor chains that they had him tied up with.
Yeah. And
whatever. Again,
real quick, just before I move on to the next scene, too quick, because I forgot about this. In the opening scene with the podcast guy, he's like, I don't know what. He walks into this room and he's trying to get like some info off of a computer, so he's trying to distract the employee there, and he's like, "No, don't eat that apple," for like some reason. He's like, "Because of all the GMOs." And, like, it's a really weird kind of sloppy dialogue at first. Like they didn't do a good job introducing the humor of that character, and it took him a while in the movie for him to grow on me, like because of that scene. Yeah. And like I'm like, okay, whatever, get it out of the way. But so back to like that scene with Kong and everything. Oh my gosh, it's just 88% sedated drives me nuts. 88% sedated. And how do you sedate that thing? Do you sneak it into his food? Like,
and where do you decide that 88% is that magic number that he can still sign with the child, but yet still be chill enough to not wreck your boat?
Not to mention, just because you release him from the chain, how does he immediately dial it up to 50 from being so heavily sedated? You don't just wake up from that.
How did the button release the chains from the bolts? There's no mechanism at all. You just press the button with the boats upside down to release them.
She pulled like some yellow lever.
He did. He pulled the lever.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Pulled the lever, but it's not connected to it. There's just big iron boat chains like you would see a big anchor on an aircraft carrier.
Plus, like, for some reason, the screen is in the most inconvenient place possible. Like, let's place this in a way where it would be really difficult to pull this lever upside down with a boat filling with water. I don't understand it, but here's my biggest problem with that scene. When Kong breaks the chains, right, and he flips the boat back around, and he wants to jump to the aircraft carrier, because, like, I understand that. He wants to fight with the most space under his feet. But how do you jump like 1,000 feet in the air and bound off of a ship onto the next aircraft carrier? Like what I would have loved to see. I'd love to
Don't get me. I guess you are getting me started.
I'd love to see someone go on YouTube and make a little edit of like Kong trying to jump on that ship and just sinking all the way to the bottom of the ocean. Because like that's what should have happened. Like you just
how is it that they're the size of skyscrapers when they're in Tokyo or Hong Kong? Sorry, they were in Hong Kong.
They were in Hong Kong. Yeah.
How are they the size of skyscrapers in Hong Kong, but yet the two of them can stand on an aircraft carrier and fight?
I was gonna say they kind of. I wasn't sure.
The scale kept changing.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was going crazy or not. But they like the scene when they dropped off Kong in Antarctica and he had to go through that tunnel. He was tiny. I remember looking at him, they like zoomed out. I'm like, he does not look like. I'm like, he looks. Why is he so much smaller?
Because he had to fit in the hole that they dug.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, you can fit in a skyscraper, but you can have 10 helicopters carry him.
Yeah.
Also, the whole, like, how does Kong feel about heights? The first thing I thought about, like, he climbed the Empire State Building.
Yeah.
I'm just like, he's a gorilla. What do you mean, how does he feel about heights? He climbs. And it was the stupidest line I've ever heard. Like, how does he feel about heights? I'm like, he's a gorilla.
Not a big fan of the Empire State Building, but whatever.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, okay, so
and like
the dad in the movie, worst parent ever.
He's He
doesn't notice until like 2 days later, because how long does it take a ship to go from Pensacola, Florida, or wherever they had King Kong, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wherever they have him stored, to Antarctica. How long would that ship take? How long would that boat journey take?
Not even as long as it would, because they didn't even make it, because they got attacked halfway through.
Okay, but how far do you think...
What I mean is he would have made it back sooner.
What do you mean?
Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
So, if you're going from, say, even Florida, just let's go to the most southern part of the United States.
Okay, so you're coming
to
from
Antarctica.
Florida.
How long would it take? How long would a boat journey take?
A couple months.
Okay, so a couple months. And they had to have been moderately close to Antarctica, because were those Chinooks that were carrying them?
Something like that, yeah.
They were cargo helicopters.
Well, that was another big thing.
That just happened to have a King Kong sized net and hold and contraption for him.
Not to mention,
already lined up, ready to go.
Not to mention, how do they have enough fuel?
There you go. That's my point.
That was my first thing.
How far can those choppers go before their point of no return to get them to Antarctica, to this station? So they must have a fueling station set up somewhere.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, there's got to be a gas station somewhere.
This is months, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yet, the other human group is going on this hyperjet through some subterranean tunnel from Pensacola, Florida, to Hong Kong. Right?
Yeah.
In the matter of a couple hours, because they're going 700 plus miles an hour through Earth or whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
And then they suddenly appear there. They would have to have been, because she left, right? She left her dad's place and contacting with her dad, and had the other funny kid come over and pick her up in the van.
Yeah.
Like the next day.
Yeah, by the way, that is like this is like parenting 101.
Yeah.
Like,
so
seriously, one second. Your daughter gets into a van with a creepy pudgy guy with long hair who doesn't have a license to immediately meet a guy on the internet she's never seen their face, banging on his door. And the guy at the gas station who wouldn't sell you bleach won't give you his information. No red flags coming up for anybody.
Dad wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, but I mean, like, how about just common sense? Like, yeah, let's go meet this guy.
Yeah. So anyway, their timeline was a matter of a day or a couple days at best,
like a few days of journey, yeah.
Because they're milling through the Pensacola place that they sneak into, all within a few hours of meeting this guy. They go have lunch, whatever. It's maybe a day or two. But yet it takes place over the same span of time that they load King Kong onto a boat and take a whole military fleet escort to go to Antarctica to get him within helicopter distance.
In their Kong-sized hole.
Yeah. Which is months. And Dad finally gets a phone call, presumably either 5 hours later or 2 months later. I don't know.
Yeah,
but it doesn't take 2 days to get to Antarctica. I can tell you that. I know that for sure.
Well, my thing is, like, when I was watching that scene, like, if there's a Godzilla attack right in front of you and buildings are getting leveled, and you know that your daughter is more than likely wanting to chase after it, and you get a frantic phone call from her that's breaking up, like the
he
phone
doesn't
call,
seem concerned,
and he doesn't do anything.
He puts the phone down and just goes back to watching Godzilla. He's like, eh.
I'm like, how does that not become your new number one priority? And like, and he's like, it's like in the last scene they had to try to have like a reunion between them. I'm like, that wasn't a reunion. He was just shocked that she was there because he had no idea.
Again, it just goes back to
you
don't have to worry about it. Just enjoy the movie.
I'm gonna super rewind here. So back to the scene where they have Kong 88% sedated on 100% of an aircraft carrier.
So he wasn't even on an aircraft carrier.
Whatever it was, it's a special Kong ship.
So they the whole opening sequence, you get the point of it. You kind of know it's a little eyeball or brain or whatever that they're dealing with in one area.
Oh, yeah, you know right off the bat it's Mechagodzilla.
Yeah, but anyway, I like how they brought him into the mix.
I thought it was cool.
But just like the last movie when we were talking about suspending reality in Wonder Woman, where we referenced the Hulk, right?
Yes.
If if you're toting around a skyscraper climbing, how tall is King Kong supposed to be? 50, 60 feet?
Meters, right? 50,
whatever.
50 feet is like not hardly the size of a motel.
How tall is he?
Like 50 meters, 60 meters. I don't
He's
know.
holding a human in his hand. I mean,
He's holding a human in his hand. Okay,
like a bus stood on end. Is he two of them? I don't. How long is it supposed to be?
I mean, the movie knows just about as well as you do. So
well, again, just like the size manipulation, the time manipulation, none of that mattered. Right?
There's no logical continuity to this movie
with any of it. Yeah.
Whatsoever. This Kong might as well have turned into a snake at some point in the movie, and it would have made about just as much sense.
It bends and warps time, much like their travel through the center of the earth.
Yeah. Somehow.
Okay, hold on. So if you're jumping, they're carrying King Kong on this cargo military freighter thing that also has weapons, a weapons system. Mm-hmm. It's like it was designed just to float King Kong around and protect him against Godzilla, and then he jumps from it. If you have that much weight on a boat where he's taking up the entire side to side of it and almost the whole, width and depth of it, or width and length of it. If he went to jump off that boat, he's going to push the boat down in the water.
Unless you have some serious counterbalance, it's going to...
It's going to sink the front of the boat as he jumps.
It's going to kill everyone.
And he's
going
to fall. Have you ever jumped off of a canoe? If you stand on the front of the canoe and you try and jump, the front of the canoe goes down and you flop and you make a Funniest Home Videos, spectacular splash into the water with a belly flop. You don't jump 100 feet, or no, 100 yards, 200 yards. How far was the next ship over? It was a couple hundred yards, right?
Within Kong jumping distance.
So he jumps. He's pushing off of a boat. That boat would have sank or just been significant.
That's what
and then he lands on the other one and then jumps to a third one to get on the aircraft carrier. And then he's riding the aircraft carrier like it's a surfboard. And Godzilla. Anyway, whatever.
My thing
whatever.
is
it's too goofy to even discuss.
The fight between them, I guess you can say that Godzilla is like an animal. They're shown to be pretty intelligent.
Yeah.
So I thought it was actually really cool. He flips the ship because he knows Kong is chained and he was stuck underwater.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that was actually pretty cool. But if Godzilla doesn't care about the people there, why don't you just sink all the ships?
Which he was trying to do.
Well, seriously,
he was attacking the whole fleet.
Well, yeah, but he can use his back spines to sink the ships, right? Why don't you just sink the ships and then swim away and let Kong drown?
Yeah, he's a gorilla. He can't swim.
He keeps coming back.
Am I wrong? Apes can't swim?
No, they can't swim. So
Gorillas drown. That's why when you see them at the zoo, there's a little thing of water, a moat of water around them to keep them from climbing up out of the enclosures, because they don't like water. And all of a sudden this Kong can swim unless he's wrapped up by Godzilla, and then he can hold his breath and scream underwater all at the same time.
Well, my thing is Godzilla kept coming back to attack him and bring him down and drown him, but I'm like, why don't you just leave him be? He'll drown.
And aren't gorillas vegetarians?
Are they? I don't think so.
Well, they're certainly not pescatarians, right?
There are some monkeys that eat other monkeys. Oh, the fact that he was eating fish.
Fish, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it would be difficult to transport, 1 million tons of mango.
Can we stop by the banana tree seaport, please?
I guess at that size, you're gonna have to bypass the fruits and veggies, and just go straight to the protein.
Or just don't have a scene feeding him.
Exactly.
Well, okay, here's the other big thing that I wanted to bring up from the get-go. That stupid, you want to talk about horrible parenting? The super underdeveloped CEO of Apex sending his daughter out in the middle. Here's my thing.
Yes.
She said, the cocky little daughter, you're supposed to hate her, so it's the cocky little princess daughter. She's like, oh, I'm here to babysit. She's like, oh, the helicopter will do its job if you do yours. She knows absolutely nothing about the mission. She knew nothing about the mission. Why was she even there? She's like, dump the monkey. Get rid of the monkey. That's what Godzilla wants. And they're like, That's the whole mission.
Well,
Like, if
but
he's-
hold on,
like,
but she knew everything about the mission as well, because they were going there to find the power source that they needed King Kong to find.
Yeah, well, like, she knows it right at the
So
end
yet
when she
they wanna
decides.
dump him.
She knows it right at the end when she decides to betray them. But the entire time, she's like,
I think they were just trying to
try
show that she's out for herself. It was weak plot development that she's
Yeah,
out
like-
for herself only, and that you don't care for her, and you are excited when she finally gets her demise.
Oh,
I
was happy about it. I mean, they did that well.
It was just spoon-fed build-up.
But yeah, seriously, like, she knew absolutely nothing about what the mission would entail, and she asked him something about what the gravity thing would feel like when they travel there. I'm like, why didn't they brief you on, like, if you're here to babysit and make sure everything goes smoothly, why do you know nothing about what is supposed to go smoothly?
Yeah.
Like, they might as well just jump down in that hole and she wouldn't have known any different.
So their whole hollow world theory, whatever, and that's where Godzilla and King Kong and all of them come from, is kind of like that underworld King Kong, where like King Kong's in this, subterranean type rainforest under the ground. That's part of like old school King Kong story.
Yeah. Honestly, I kind of like it.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But why would there be a teleporting wormhole 50 feet under the surface of the planet in all these little holes that you dip down into, and then you hit this wormhole, and then you lose gravity and gain it back again? And
you notice that they literally dug a hole to China?
Yes.
I thought that was so funny when Godzilla died. I'm like, they dug to China. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
So I'm going to skip to my chief complaint, my chief nitpick, is it looked like this movie was cobbled together with a garage sale of leftover movie parts. So when we get to the world between worlds, or the underworld, it looked like Wakanda with a bunch of glowing purple-blue stones.
You know what it looked like? It looked like a straight-up rip-off of the underground world that they did in Ice Age. With like Buck and the dinosaurs,
I remember, but
it is. I hardly. Yeah. I remember watching it, and I'm like, I remember.
Well, and that's where King Kong came. That was the point of it, the old one. But so it's Avatar, the blue people, Avatar.
Yes.
Meets Wakanda in this underworld thing after going through a wormhole, using their jet propulsion maglev tech. What movie is that? Oh, those ships are recycled from the Matrix.
Oh yeah,
they're absolutely straight up the tunnel dwelling Matrix ships. They're spacesuits, which they didn't need and played no part, were leftovers from Endgame.
They look like Avengers Endgame if they let an emo design it.
It was like more like Daft Punk. I mean, it was
a little bit.
It was gold. It was like a gold member version of the Endgame.
Hi everybody, I'm from Hollow. It's weird.
Oh yeah, it was an Endgame disco suit. It's like, let's have these leftovers. Let's etch a different emblem in the shoulder because we had enough time to put those outfits together as well.
Yeah. By the way, one of my chief complaints. I don't know if she played a big part in the earlier movies. I don't mean to be mean because she's very young, but the whole little girl thing was driving me a little nuts. Just the look on her face. I remember thinking to myself, so she's deaf in the movie, if anybody doesn't know. I remember thinking to myself, they have all these stupid shots where they just zoom in on her face and she doesn't say anything. And then I went, oh, wait. I remember thinking, I'm like, she's always got like this kind of smug little look on her face, and she's always disobeying.
She's an old soul in this little, 10-year-old, 8-year-old, whatever she is, body.
I'm so tired of the trope in movies where the kid knows better than the parent for some reason.
She's got this whole thing dialed in, and if she feeds King Kong and Godzilla a Scooby snack, that they'll both behave and get along for her sake.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. Again, not going to dive too much into taking it seriously.
Well,
it's just the movie elements. So the one of the other chief complaints I have is the character designs. Godzilla or King Kong looked less like a gorilla than the last two King Kong movies, and I don't think the two weren't related. I don't think
he looked like cartoony almost.
He looked more anthropomorphized. He looked more human. His legs were longer than proper proportion.
His posture
was like they put a different guy in the suit to do the motion capture, and they didn't want to have him bend his knees because it just didn't work. It wasn't convenient. So all they did was extend his arms. But he stood more upright. It was not. You have an anatomical reference. Just go off of a gorilla. He's just bigger, right? So kind of stick to it. They can only fix Godzilla so much because they're going off of the other. These are both off the other two Godzillas, right? There was the Godzilla with the dude from the Quicksilver that got killed, right?
You mean
actually Scarlet Witch and Godzilla and Quicksilver. Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver were husband and wife in that Godzilla movie.
Oh, you're talking about the Matthew Broderick one?
No.
Oh wait, no.
The one where they
2014?
I don't know, the one where they eat the nuclear stuff in the hillside in Nevada, and then the spider-looking thing comes out, and where they end up skydiving into San Francisco.
That's the first Godzilla movie in this trilogy. It's in
2014. So that was the Godzilla one, where
they're not basing off him, and it is him.
I know, but that Godzilla sucked.
Yeah,
it's like in the little spider animal looked like it came straight off of
sell more toys.
What was that? Cloverfield. It looked like a very J.J. Abrams Cloverfield kind of monster.
Mm-hmm.
And my problem is this happened a lot in the 80s and a lot in the 90s where there are design elements in monsters, and there's design elements in suits, and there's design elements in spaceships, and in of each movie that it's like they use the same art director or whatever, like Ralph McQuarrie designed the original Star Wars stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can tell when they switched to different art concept designers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's when you end up with Phantom Menace, where all the ships look like they're from the 40s and 50s, right? Where they're chrome and looks like old diner and drive-in type ships, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then every ship you see in every other sci-fi movie starts to mimic that, and it sticks consistently. That's why the spacesuits looked like they were somewhat between Matt Damon's The Martian and Avengers Endgame. Just all that consistent theme. It looks cool, but it's Titanfall. It's consistent all the way through video games and movies. So you see the same suits. It's like, switch it up, get your own ideas.
Yeah.
Spaceships, same thing, and that's why it feels like this stole a lot of elements and a lot of things. A lot of the shots were made just for the sake of the shot. The door opens to the spaceship, and you get Skarsgård backlit
with a really
front lit, so you're seeing his silhouette as he's walking out of the ship
with the really non-fitting music playing.
So the music fit the stolen design, which was another one. They stole half of everything from Tron. So why is it that ever since Tony Stark's glowing blue chest gear, now everything has to glow blue when it's electronics, right? Everything in the electronics in that Apex place, everything was glowing. It looked like
Well, yeah, like the engines and everything. Like it looked like
everything was glowing. The ships had these red streaks in them for absolutely no reason. The insides lit up blue with these neon lights.
you know what? It looked like Captain Marvel.
It looked like Tron.
Yeah.
It looked like Captain Marvel when they
With
did
like
the maglev stuff.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It looks like Captain Marvel.
But before that, it looked like a ship from Tron, where the red lights lit up, and then they started playing almost Daft Punk Tron Legacy style music. You heard it, right? As the door opened, it could have been a very similar shot where Sam Flynn is jumping, walking off of a ship, and the same music starts. It was very Tron-esque. The only place the neon actually worked was in Hong Kong, where it actually is on their buildings. You don't need it throughout the movie. I don't need to know that it's super tech for it to be glowing. Godzilla's back glowing blue, that's part of the movie. That's old school where his back glows. That makes sense. But everything else having neon lights to it just doesn't need to happen. Again, it's another stolen element from another movie just to throw it into this to make it more futuristic, sci-fi-esque, whatever you want to call it.
And the other thing one of the main complaints that I've had about Godzilla from the get-go, he's got some freaking haunches. It's weird.
Yeah.
Like he looks like a pear. The thickest thighs and base of his body that I've ever seen in my life.
Over the course of the 3 movies, I'd have to look, but they have kind of modified him more and more to look like classic Godzilla as they've gone through the series. He has gills now. I don't know if you noticed that. He has gills.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I don't remember him having gills, or at least it being so prominent in the last 2.
They're trying to dive into the fact that he's more of a water creature.
He's amphibious or whatever. But in the first movie that I was talking about, the San Francisco one, he looked like he was a straight lava monster. His skin looks like it's lava, just hardened, right? Which, in the original Godzilla movies, he looked like his skin was avocado, right?
Yeah,
like ripe avocado. So it makes sense. But when he gets burned, it's almost like he's got this crust of magma all over him or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know why whenever he was burned or shocked, they had to show like the lines,
the glowing red lines, like it was heated up lava, right?
Well, like that and like as if it was like heating a forge or something, or like some kind of design on his chest. Yeah. It just looks kind of weird.
Well,
and,
it's one of those things where, like I said, when all the art starts to duplicate itself, where you find a cool concept and then you want to use it on everything. So, for example, in Star Wars, Darth Maul, hands down, super cool character, no argument, right? Mm-hmm. They killed him off, or at least so we thought, originally, and too soon for such a cool character, which is a normal Star Wars thing. So they had to bring him back. But now all of a sudden you've got a Mandalorian with the same paint job. You've got Darth Talon, who's a cool character, but she's a Twi'lek with the Darth Maul tattoo job.
Yeah.
You've got stormtroopers with everything's now red and black Darth Maul looking for an entire decade. It's like we get it. It was cool. Just let the one thing have it. Not everybody has to have this style now.
Well, I feel like with Hollywood being a business, when they like with so many ideas being run through the ringer so much, they find something that catches and they just roll with it. You know what I mean? And especially now, they're in a freaking creative deficit.
Well, I think it's that, but also the people that get into this business have a habit of liking something and latching onto it so hardcore that they bring it into everything. It just fuses in everything.
That's a classic nerd move.
Yes.
You find a joke that you like, so you stick with it because you can't come up with any other material, and that's your gold. Yeah.
So anyway, that was one of my big complaints about the movie is, like I said, a bunch of borrowed elements, a bunch of stuff that's been done a million times or overdone, and they're trying to morph these characters into what they want. And you don't know the end from the beginning. So they didn't know they were going to tie Godzilla and King Kong together. The universes weren't really meant to collide. So when you have to make up this world between worlds kind of theory to it, that you're forcing it.
Yeah.
Go back, look at what you want to accomplish, and then go back and rethink if the ends justified the means, where it was worth having this, like I said, a wormhole in Earth just to have Godzilla or King Kong go there to do absolutely nothing.
Well, see,
and you go through all this trouble, and there was a wormhole, and then Godzilla blasts a hole into the center of the Earth, and his laser's so powerful that it digs 1,000,000 miles into the Earth's core to where King Kong was, and then they just jump back up that hole.
So that's another thing I want to bring up with that whole scene. For some reason, he knows exactly where to go. I know that they talked about it like the beginning with how they kind of instinctually know, but he goes to the place where apparently the gorillas hung out, and apparently they made statues as well because there was a giant gorilla statue.
Statues of themselves, weapons out of what was
that was 100% an axe made out of
a King Kong's backblade, right?
No, so here's my thing.
Or Godzilla's backblade.
Yeah, it was one of Godzilla's spines
Yeah.
made into an axe. So my thing is, when Kong jumped on his back and he's bashing him, the classic thing you see in action movies when little guy's fighting a big guy,
Yeah.
where he's choking him out from behind, like Andre the Giant and
Yeah.
Carrie Ellis,
Yeah.
and he's bashing him back into a rock. So he's Godzilla's bashing Kong back into the buildings. I'm like, if that's his axe, I'm like, why isn't that penetrating? Why doesn't that hurt? Those are nothing but spines on his back.
I was half expecting him to have to return that spine to his back for Godzilla to get his super strength and get the super laser beam to take out Mechagodzilla.
Oh, that's what it seemed like. Here's my thing. I understand that you charge the axe and you can release that giant shockwave when he's fighting Mechagodzilla. Here's my thing.
Again,
why is it when you charge the axe, why does it become sharper?
Yeah.
It slices right through him and it doesn't use any of it. He never uses the shockwave thing, and you don't see any difference in the power of it.
Well,
why does it cut right through like a hot knife through butter? And
it was stuck to a femur of King Kong or another Godzilla, but yet that was glowing red and purple and magical.
You want to talk about robbing from Endgame? Yeah, that was Stormbreaker.
It was Stormbreaker with the rechargeable power of Black Panther's suit. To go with the floating avatar rocks that were filled with vibranium. And not everything has to glow. It doesn't all have to work the same.
Here's my thing. If you're in the hollow world, right, why does gravity go one way or the other?
Well, because you're in the center. I get that, because you're drawn to the mass, not the center of the Earth. So you'd be pulled to either side because there's no mass in the middle to create the gravity.
Yeah. All right.
But why wouldn't you just float in general? Because you'd have the same amount. And that's why he was able to jump from one side and flip and go to the other.
Yeah.
I
noticed that.
That was the only thing that actually seemed like they did some research with a physicist to think of how it would have worked. Like if you're stuck inside a geode, right? If you're on closer to the surface, you're going to be pulled to the surface from gravity, because that's how gravity works. But the minute you jump, you have the equal pull of gravity on both sides.
That's why
and
you
stalled
out. That's why you stalled out for a second.
Yeah.
Well, that brings to mind, if that's the only thing they brought, they did some real effort on, then that probably means they're planning on using it in the future.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed. I don't know if I was hearing things or not, but when Kong was running through and he scared some birds or something, and something sort of floated flying or running away, I thought that I heard the original sound effect for Gigan's roar. Like that
I wouldn't know that.
No, I do. I thought that I heard that original sound effect, and it was for half a second, and I kept thinking to myself, I'm like, was that Gigan?
Yeah.
Was Gigan about to show up?
They're going to use this, if this makes money, they're going to use it to obviously make another one.
Yeah.
And they'll bring in all the other Godzilla bad guys, which, again, the bad guys have gotten a little bit better, but the Mecha Godzilla looked like Reptar. I mean,
that's what I wanted to say.
It just
I really didn't like Mecha Godzilla's design.
Super cheesy.
It looked janky.
It looked like it was off of a cartoon that I can't think of what cartoon it was.
It looked like Igor from that weird cartoon. Like his eyes were like on either side of his head. It looked like Sid. He looked like Sid the Sloth.
Yeah, but just the whole design of it, whereas, you know, weird wrists and feet and kind of
freaking Yoda hands.
The whole design of it just didn't work as a robot and didn't work as a Godzilla. None of it worked for me. And where the laser come from, the power source that all of a sudden she beamed him, she emailed him the schematics, and all of a sudden they can recreate the power source.
That was so stupid. Like, I thought,
you want to talk about underdeveloped? The bad guy was underdeveloped, pointless.
That's what I said.
The power source was underdeveloped. The straight up stolen from Jaeger Tech of Pacific Rim to control this Mechagodzilla, but yet using it. That was also stolen from Transformers, where they were using Megatron's head to power the new.
It's like they took every
Transformers.
It's like they took every action movie from like the past 30 years and just mashed it into one.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They sat and made a checklist of everything they want to see in a Godzilla versus King Kong movie. Like you said, tail whips and laser beams and prying the mouth apart that they've used a million times.
That is so overdone.
And then, what do we like about other movies? Well, I like the glowing parts of Tron. I like the brain connecting with the robot, drifting
with Mechagodzilla.
Yeah, I like the drifting part of Pacific Rim.
That was also a little bit.
I like the brain takeover of Transformers, where I guess Mechagodzilla was a
here's my
mental
thing.
warp of King Ghidorah or
King Ghidorah,
whatever.
So here's my thing
from the last movie.
They said that they communicate telepathically and X, Y, and Z, and they the skull of King Ghidorah. I'm like, cool, the skull's there. Where's his brain?
Yeah,
you connect to the bones and somehow works. And
well, that's if you make it just glow.
You literally made your office inside of his skull, and somehow you can connect with a freaking robot telepathically.
Yeah, if you make it glow pink and purple, it looks
like a brain.
Beyond high tech, and people won't ask questions.
How about the fact that it was able to separate itself from the pilot, who was apparently like brain connecting with him, but for some reason, a satellite, which we're only just now figuring out about, is still connected to him. Like, seriously, he either forgot to turn off Bluetooth or Wi-Fi.
I did like the fact the password. The kid's like, "Oh, I'll find the password," and you're like, "No, please don't tell me that this actually works." And then he just locks it out. It's like, okay, that's kind of funny.
I thought that part was super funny because like that was the part when Dad and I looked at each other when the satellite was still connected. We're like, we look at each other and the Saint was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, he's connected to a satellite? Like, why? You were able to keep this secret from the government, but it's connected to a Also, why is it connected to a satellite? Is he a Bluetooth speaker?
Yeah.
Like, why on earth is Mechagodzilla?" If you're communicating with them telepathically, you don't need a satellite to send a signal.
Yeah. Just a few plot holes.
But oh my gosh, like the thing they try to do it from a distance. Yeah, sure, but he dumps the whiskey. That line was actually pretty funny. I gotta die with kids and sober.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
But here's my thing: when they shut down the satellite, what did it do?
It didn't shut down anything. It didn't shut down the satellite.
It didn't do anything. It made him balk for half a second.
All it did was fry the keyboard, which he wasn't even connected to, which gave them a pause for them to be able to get the upper hand on him, and then team up. Oh, and then you turn your spaceship that's design was stolen from the Matrix 2,
a defibrillator,
and turn it into a defibrillator. Oh.
You know what's so
Okay.
funny? You know what's so funny is they sounded like they were going to explain it for a second. They're like, the only way to make a charge that much is unless, and then he didn't say a word, and they just did it.
Exactly. Thank you for not even trying to explain it. And his heart is getting weaker and fading.
Well, I
you
turned
shock
to you,
him.
I turned to you in that scene, and I'm like, he's like, his heart's slowing down. I'm like, he could be sleeping. Your heart slows down when you sleep.
Dying because he's injured because Godzilla just stepped on his chest and grounded him into paste. That's why his heart's slowing down. It's probably swelling and bruising because he just got in a fight and got beat up and he's dying. A shock is not going to all of a sudden give him super energy. You don't charge up King Kong the same way you charged up King Kong's little axe by shocking it. Now all of a sudden he's got super strength.
Did you notice that they didn't just restart his heart? He woke up like on a mission.
Exactly.
He woke up like you just gave him like 10 shots of coffee.
Yeah.
He like sat up and like, whoa, that's got some kick.
You know what it's again. It's not doing a whole lot of research into what the real effects would be. So again, we're suspending reality big time.
Well, how about the fact that he runs out of the ship and the next second he's already how do you get up and down? Like when he's running off of Kong, because I'm like,
you don't even see how
if he's still on Kong, like when that thing shocks him, like he's just fried.
He's just running through the city, and then
And those people were so pointless. Like, you want to talk about pointless? How about the mom of the little sign language girl? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So again, a lot of just go and enjoy the movie. Just turn your brain off, suspend reality.
I don't even think we could do how could you make this movie better kind of thing, because
you could actually.
Okay, how would you do it? Okay,
he was on Skull Island, right? They might have taken him from there, whatever. Yeah. Have King Kong find him. Use that apex predator sniffing thing that they used in the first, or in the most recent.
The second movie.
Both Godzillas kind of used it, right? Where they were drawn to each other. Yeah. So use that and have him find King Kong and have them fight on his area. But then they have to take King Kong. Because Godzilla's just running amok, but you can't have them be both good guys and both bad guys all at the same time.
Yeah,
it doesn't work. So if the Mechagodzilla came out just because you just get rid of the Middle Earth thing, you don't need it. Come up with a different power source and just bring them both on scene because you want to have them help you fight this Mechagodzilla because it's the bigger threat. But if you would have just let the dude do his Mechagodzilla, he would have taken out Kong and Godzilla, and you wouldn't have any problem anyway. You know what you could have done? They could have done something like it, because Kong was never a part of the kaiju verse. So what you could have done was they start building Mechagodzilla on Skull Island. Because they want to test Mechagodzilla on Kong before I think you bring both of them to one area to fight.
No, see, that's what I mean.
Mechagodzilla, and they start fighting amongst themselves first.
That's what I mean. Is as they're building Mechagodzilla, Godzilla comes up and Kong thinks he's imposing on his territory, and then they find, and then that would just be like a cleaner way to bring out like the logic of it.
Yeah, get rid of the people, get rid of the tech.
One thing I wanted to bring up is I don't know if they were going for this or not, or it might just be me drawing at strings. If that's the right thing, but
grasping at straws, is that what you're trying to
grabbing say? I think it's grabbing at straws. I don't know. I'm tired.
It's late.
Grasping at straws. So with the little girl in sign language in Kong, I think they were trying to go for you remember the old Godzilla movies when those weird twins would speak for Mothra?
I have no idea.
So they were like these two mini little. Like 3 inches tall twins who would speak for Mothra. And
you're getting too deep on that one. I think it was more like the original King Kong had a thing for
Anne, whatever her name
Fay
was.
Ray and Anne and all, whatever the female character was. So they made him connect with a child to humanize him a little more.
That's 100%.
That was it, just to have him make a more human connection, and then they do the sign language. So here's how you fix it. This is a primal movie.
Yeah.
Is it not?
It absolutely is.
You have Godzilla versus King Kong, two kings of beasts bashing it out, right? So the part of the original King Kong, that it was this primal island. Godzilla, same thing. Very primal, comes in and just lays waste to an entire modern city. Just stick to the basics. Have them be animals. They're animals.
See,
keep it simple.
That was something I was thinking in the middle of the movie. I'm like, I don't need to know like where they came from. You don't need to spend this much time on this backstory and make so much sense.
You don't
of it.
have to add tech to make these primal creatures beat the tar out of each other.
Yeah, and like
get rid of all the extra.
I don't need the Middle Earth stuff, you know, or the Hollow Earth stuff, because guess what?
They don't need motivation to fight either.
Well, yeah, in the freaking original Godzilla, you know what it was? Godzilla was hit with a little bit of radiation.
Yeah,
and he grew 1,000 feet tall, and now he's destroying Tokyo. That was it. There was no Titan society. There was no center of the earth nonsense.
Well, they're trying to set up for a sequel that they don't need to set up for. So now all these things can keep popping up and coming to the surface and taking on Godzilla or taking on King Kong, so they can keep making sequels with each and every bad guy. But they don't need to have a giant explanation like that. They don't all need to come from the same source.
Then the thing is, like,
because we've already seen
people,
it. It's
people love
Pacific Rim.
Yeah, that is 100% Pacific Rim, right down in the wormhole.
Yeah.
But the thing that people love about the old Godzilla movies, especially, is just there's no backstory.
They're mutants.
There's no human story. Just watch the monsters fight. It's literally a WWE match. Just let them duke it out. That's why Godzilla Final Wars is my favorite Godzilla movie. There's like 12 Godzilla fights in there, and I do not even remember one single human's name or what they look like.
Go back to cheesy story, cheesy plot, cheesy dialogue, which, I mean, they definitely went back to all that. But you don't have to fancy it up.
No.
Just put a dude in a Godzilla suit and a dude in a King Kong suit and have it be a WWF match or WWE match.
WWF, okay.
WWF is the original World Wrestling Federation.
Man, you're old.
All right.
I'm tired. I think that about wraps it up.
Yeah. Later.